And we all feel this way at times. Just this feeling of, hey, can I just focus on one or two things? I'm getting pulled in 50 different directions and I can't do any one of them good. And therefore you get this constant feeling of stress and anxiety of, I'm forgetting something, I'm going to pay for that, I can't get any one of these done correctly, they're all going to come crashing down. And it gets into your blood to where you get this overwhelming feeling of anxiety because your unconscious knows that it's coming. And so it'll kind of wake you up with this fear and this panic out of nowhere. And now it just makes it worse because now you're fearing the anxiety attacks. It's just a big damn circle jerk, right? So what can you do about this? And more importantly, how have other people gotten through this? How have other people conquered something like this? Because you're not the first one to go through this kind of stuff, right? The good news is this is normal. This is natural. As you're getting older, you should be feeling overwhelmed by the future, your responsibilities, all these things to do. And you should realize, no, you can't do it all yourself. I mean, this is like the basics of all of the beginning business books. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, E-Myth, all the classics are talking about, hey, dude, you can only go so far in your life. You can only go so far in your business as a one-man Johnny. Eventually, you got to outsource. Eventually, you got to diversify. Eventually, you got to get a team. Eventually, you got to get systems. So the point is, you want to get to a point in life to where you as a kid go, I can't do this all myself anymore. And the symptoms of that is this feeling of overwhelm and anxiety and all these different responsibilities that you can now see as kind of a young adult. You don't want to be 40 years old and go, no, man, life's easy. I don't have any responsibilities. I just cruise through life and do whatever I want. That's not where you want to be. So there's a million books and YouTube videos you can watch on this subject, but I'll just kind of share with you what has helped me a lot going through this in basically my entire decade of my 30s. The first thing that really helped me was embracing the waves, embracing that this is a natural point in life to where I'm simply growing up, having to take on so many more responsibilities. And then number two, that transitioned into, I have to die to my old self. I mean, this is classic hero's journey thing. Now, this took me a couple of years of walking the streets in the middle of the night, really processing this, really crying over this, really dying to the old self, really realizing by my early to mid 30s that Dave Powers is dead. I can't live my life running around being a specialist in exactly what I want to obsess over. Now, the challenge is my savior functions is I want to just obsess over my known concepts. I just want to get really, really good at a couple things rather than have to run around and do all this chaos bullshit, right? But this is the transition of the hero's journey. This is pretty much just growing up. It's a rite of passage of you are dying as a kid and you are taking on the new life as an adult. And yes, the new life as an adult is you run around like an idiot doing everything for everybody and you got to go fast. And if you want to have any time for yourself or your hobby, you got to hide that in the middle of the night and all you get is 20 minutes. That takes a lot to emotionally get over. That is very hard on the ego to realize that this is a losing game and that you got to die and start a brand new game and now start from the bottom and work your way up on this new game. What helped me a lot is just some good old crappy 1960s garbage psychology of just the general concept of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now again, these aren't necessarily literal, these aren't necessarily super scientific, but they just helped me kind of prioritize this overwhelm of a million things I have to now deal with. How do I process all of that? And the Maslow's hierarchy of needs really helped me understand that, like, all right, I've got 15 things to do today. Some of them are my passions, my hobbies, my relationships, paying my bills, fixing the car flat tire. How do I prioritize these? Because I know how I want to prioritize them as Dave Powers. I want to do my favorite stuff first, right? So the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I printed this out and put on my freaking wall, is it helped me realize, look, Dave, I don't care what you want to do. I don't care what feels natural to you. You are now dead. You have to do the correct order if you want to grow and give in this new world. And so, therefore, I had to let go of all this other stuff that I had grabbed when I was younger. I had to let go of my hobbies. I had to let go of all my friends. I had to let go of my family. I had to let go of all this stuff and focus on getting the basic bottom stuff first. Figuring out how to get my dishes done and my laundry cleaned and my bills paid and my car taken care of, get my house in order, Jordan Peterson style, and spending the time to build that foundation strong, and then moving up to the next system. And this is where the business books like E-Myth, 4-Hour Workweek, this is where they now became aggressively practical for me because I now had to fight in this new world of like, okay, wait, I really do have to take something that takes me 7.5 hours a week and I've got to get that down to 20 minutes because I don't have enough time to manage all these responsibilities. So you then therefore are forced now to get strategic, to read business books, to read self-help stuff, to figure out now that I am accepting that I have to own all this stuff, how can I strategically get them way down into smaller time constraints? That comes from learning. That comes from training. That comes from practice. You're not going to just willy-nilly be able to do that. And then how do you know which problem to tackle first? The Maslow's hierarchy of needs tells you hit the lower-ended stuff first. If you don't, you end up being like everyone else, just trying to grab it all, trying to do it all, constantly getting chased by that anxiety and that fear. And you got to get to a point to where you see that there's no way out of that and that you got to quit the game, start over, and start the new life of building from the ground up.